tough end to our season. To miss the playoffs the way we did at the end there still kind of hurts. So let's review the award winners and we'll see what this offseason has in store. Happy news first. Barry Bonds won his 6th MVP, and that's 11 Silver Sluggers now in left field. Jim Thome narrowly finished second in the MVP, but nice to have an Astro in the awards ceremonies. On the other side of the league, Jeff Kent won it in the American League, even though the Indians missed the playoffs again. Came several close calls and finally broke through. He also got his 4th Silver Slugger at second base, and this year he beat out Sammy Sosa. Rod Seep is backing up his 1994 Rookie of the Year award with a National League Cy Young award. Just beat his teammate Mike Schooler for that one. Just his 2nd season. A very promising career could be ahead. Steve Avery picked up his 2nd Cy Young award in the American League. Probably more importantly for him, he picked up his 3rd World Series ring, and he even won Game 7 against the Chicago Cubs. Spoiler alert. Back to the relievers now. Mark Wohlers has won the Fireman of the Year award for the 2nd time. And Mariano Rivera finally got one on the American League side. In fact, he won. He got all the votes, unanimous decision. Rookies. Corey Kosky is your Rookie of the Year award winner. He just beat out 3rd baseman George Arias of the New York Mets for that one. And Ruben Rivera won it. And on the National League side, on the American League side, this was a tight race. He beat out Vladimir Guerrero and Hideo Nomo for that honor. All right, so on to the Astros now. We've met some of our owner's expectations for the year, and our job is secure. He wants playoffs this season, and so do I. Upgrading shortstop and upgrading my defensive efficiency could be kind of tricky. A lot of that will depend on Alex Rodriguez. Hopefully he can continue to improve at shortstop. The acquire an MVP goal is pretty annoying, considering I have a 6-time MVP on my roster already. Yeah, that makes things a little hard to find others when he's been taking all the MVP awards. But in any case, arbitration. So 4 of the 5 players listed we have come to terms with just through contract extension. Didn't even have to go to arbitration with them. It's the top 4. Melvin Nieves became a free agent. George Pace, who we acquired right at the end of the season, becomes a Type A free agent. And Ken Griffey Jr. got Type B after both of them declined arbitration. So what that means is if either of them signed before the draft, which is December 31st, I get draft pick compensation. If it's Type A, I get 2 picks. If it's Type B, I get 1. And then Derek Bell, Roger Clemens, Jeff Robinson, you can see at the bottom there, did not get assigned any compensation. So they'll all head to free agency pretty much free, and I will not get any compensation for those guys. So off-season summary page here. This is before anybody signed. A lot of losses I just talked about amount to the Astros being the 5th hardest team hit by free agent losses. Fortunately, the Chicago Cubs are even worse off because they lost Kenny Lofton, Delino DeShields, Matt Stark, and even Chito Martinez, who I just hate mentioning. The bigger difference for the Cubs and why I should have a huge advantage going into this offseason is that they don't have any money to spend. The Astros, on the other hand, we have plenty of money to spend. Very good financial position, nearly $7 million. That'll do. And then, what are we going to spend $7 million on? So we're pretty solid at catcher, first base, second base, shortstop are pretty well spoken for. We've got young players in all of those positions. Hopefully they continue to improve. I wouldn't mind if something amazing fell into my lap, but we're okay going into the offseason with those guys settled. Third base is where we're going to try and make a big splash. That would help slide Jeff Manto into more of a utility cover position. He could play first base, second base, and third base. And then in the outfield, Jerome Walton can anchor center field. We're going to call up Andrew Jones in June. And then ideally, we can make a big splash in right field, and Jerome Walton will serve as kind of a super sub across all three outfield positions. And then our starting rotation should be just fine, assuming Shane Reynolds returns to good health. Don't want to assume that. It's a shoulder injury. Jason Beret isn't the worst backup plan if he doesn't come back. If we can't manage to land like a third baseman or a right fielder, I could redirect some of those funds towards the starter as well. And then our bullpen's pretty deep, very deep in fact. But I wouldn't mind acquiring like a shutdown closer as a plan B if any of the above plans fell through. That could work out as well. So let's take a look at what's available to us. These are the third basemen. Travis Fryman is a nice, balanced third baseman. Steady bat, good defensively. He plays a little shortstop. He's type B, so I wouldn't have to give up a draft pick. And the only problem here is he's got some pretty sky-high salary demands, $4.9 million almost there. So hopefully he lasts long enough for those demands to drop. And I do need to keep an eye on that injury as well. He's got a shoulder injury. I could bring Greg Jeffries back to Houston. He was there for several years until he moved on to the Reds. Fantastic all-around player. Wants a lot of money as well, and he's a type A free agent, which means I'd forfeit my first rounder if I sign him before the end of the calendar year. But he lingered into spring training last year, and I almost re-signed him, so maybe that will repeat and I can snag him this time. I'm pretty familiar with Mike Greenwell. I brought him to Texas in 1991, I believe was the year. Great table setter, no draft compensation. The only issue is he's starting to get up there in years, and he's also starting to show some injury proneness. And then Walter McConnell's kind of the sleeper bargain candidate. Certainly not as talented as those other players, but there's a lot to like in this profile. Huge on base percentage primarily, and he also comes at a pretty steep discount. Here are your right fielders. Probably the thing to note is that there's not as many high-end choices here as there are at third base. Darryl Sherman's one of those players available. Fantastic leadoff hitter. Also has the arm to play right field. I would just need to develop him a little bit more there. I just don't know if this profile is really like for starting right fielder, $2.7 million for 8 years. I'd like to have some more power at that position. This guy's got some power. Interesting choice, Pedro Guerrero. Production's still there, and he's a captain. It's just the matter of him being 39 years old. Is he going to make it through a whole season healthy? And then a familiar face, Derek Bell. Very possible option. Great defensively. Gives me some cover in center field. Just had a breakout season with us. I've had him seem like he was such a disappointment for so many years with me for the Rangers and the Astros, and broke out last season. Maybe I go back to him. And then a little bit of a bargain bin option too, David Justice. No draft pick compensation. He only wants $310,000. It's not much of a downgrade from Derek Bell. And if I went this direction, it would create a platoon in right field. Justice would start against the righties, and I have Jerome Walton that would start against the lefties. That's after June, when hypothetically Andrew Jones is up in the bigs. So there's all your free agent hitters. The kind of the bummer here is it's a good third baseman free agent class. It's also good that it's the best for center fielders, which I'm not interested in signing a long-term center fielder when you've got Andrew Jones sitting in my minor league system. I even have Carlos Beltran coming in behind him, who will more likely slide into right field, assuming that Andrew Jones becomes the all-star that I hope he does. Here's your pitchers, the starting pitchers to be exact. There's a couple top shelf starters out there. Chris Nabholz is the best one out there. He's looking for a ton of money. He carries type A. And I already have enough cancers in my clubhouse. Nabholz comes with the selfish tag, so that gives me some caution. Brett Saberhagen is another former Astro that I could bring back, and it could make sense if he makes it past December. I really don't want to do the Type A thing, but the price isn't too far off, and the Iron Man status that he has gives me a lot more confidence than I would have with most 31-year-olds going into a free agent contract. And then Tommy Green had a couple of difficult seasons there in Kansas City, but the price is really good. And he still has some growth potential to get better, get some control, get some extra movement. I could have a really nice pitcher on my hands at a bargain. There's also some relievers to like. John Wetland is the top one on that list. 1995 wasn't a great year for him, but that's a really solid closer profile still. The extreme fly ball could be a bit scary, but the Astrodome helps a lot with that. And $675,000 is a bargain for the former Fireman of the Year award winner. Rob Nen is interesting too. He reached free agency at a pretty young age, just 25 years old. Still has some growth, it appears, in that profile. So a definite downgrade from Wetland, and he's a higher price, but I could do worse, and who knows, maybe something will happen where he drops his demand over the course of the offseason. Bruce Ruffin's another one. Left-handed setup man. I've had him before with the Rangers, 1990. Trick is he's a bit redundant with Arthur Rhodes, who had a breakout year for me earlier in 95. But I don't know. Could you go with two left-handed specialists? It's pretty hard to argue with that price. And while 95 was a bit of a down year, it still seems like he's productive. Trades are always an option too here. There's not really much doing on the trade block right now, but I'll certainly be exploring more trades, in particular for third basemen and right fielders, especially during the winter meetings. We'll see if anything pops up for me. So that's the situation about to unfold. If you like this content, please give the video a thumbs up and help others find it. If you saw someone you think I should sign, or if there's something I should do, leave a comment. Happy to listen. Not sure I'm going to take the advice. I can't make any promises, but it sure couldn't hurt. Otherwise, we'll see you in the second half of the off season coming soon.